Hello everyone, this is Prashant, and in this unit we are going to cover the chemicals apart from neurotransmitter that affect our behavior and our physiological compositions. So we are going to talk about hormones. So hormones are basically chemicals of the body. And let's start with our few scientists who has contributed to our understanding of hormones, and those are Berthold and Hunter. Both of them did independent experiments on the same thing, and their experiment was as follows. So basically, they applied amputation specifically on male roosters. They castrated them, they cut off their testes, and then they observed the effect of cutting their testes on their development. And they found out that the roosters that were castrated did not develop um, dominant sexual features in comparison to those who have uh, their testes intact. Okay, cool. So, what was their reasoning? Their reasoning was as follows: castrated roosters didn't develop sexually, non castrated roosters developed normal sexual behavior. Okay, when you reattached, there was third group on which you reattach their testes after cutting them, and they also developed sexual behavior. So the one common theme across all these three experiments was that when you gonads play an important role in sexual behavior, when they are removed, the sexual behavior is gone. So there is a direct cause and effect relationship between gonads and sexual behavior, and the, they inferred that there was some chemical involved that was essential for sexual development, and it was produced in gonads because without gonads you could not have sexual features. So yeah, and that chemical was testosterone when they kind of observed it actually. And induction we can form from this one observation alone is that there are chemicals, okay, hormones uh, that are produced in different body parts and have a specific physiological effect. Okay, so testosterone is produced in gonads and has an effect that is development of sexual characteristics. And like testosterone, there are other chemicals or hormones in different body parts. Okay, so his experiment can be summarized as follows. That is group one, intact gonads, good sexual development. Testes removed, no sexual development, and testes reattached, sexual development. So, how does endocrine communication happens? For example, how does uh, what do hormones do? So, hormones are basically chemicals that are released in certain glands, organs, that transfer those chemicals, aka hormones, into the bloodstream, and through that bloodstream, those hormones uh, target a specific organs. Because specific hormones are accepted by specific what you call it receptors in the target organ. So yep, so endocrine cell in gonads generate hormones or chemicals. Those chemicals travel through blood and reach a specific target organ. Yep, that's cool. Okay. Now, based on the research of all the scientists, these are the main glands that we have, and these are their features. Hypothalamus controls hormone secretions, pineal gland, body rhythms, pituitary gland, posterior pituitary, anterior pituitary, thyroid, adrenal glands, pancreas, gut, gonads. So pretty specific, but these are all the major endocrine structures in human body. And chemically, hormones can be divided into three categories: peptide hormones, amine hormones, and steroid hormones. And these are the names of the specific hormones in each category. As you can observe, ACTH, FSH, in peptide, amine, we have epinephrine, norepinephrine, thyroid, and in steroid, we have estrogen, progesterone, androgens, etc. Cool. Okay, so let's move forward. Uh, to neuroendocrine communication. Basically, how does endocrine system and nervous system interact? That is neuroendocrine communication. So neuron generates neurochemicals that strike or create an action potential, and it targets a specific endocrine organ that generates hormones, and those hormones travel through bloodstream, and through bloodstream they go to the target cell in a target organ. Cool. So that's how all of that is integrated. Okay. So now we have Geoffrey Harris. Okay. So what was his method? Okay, his method was as follows. He observed that hypothalamus is connected to pituitary gland by a network of blood vessels and neural fibers that surround the pituitary gland. And pituitary gland was broadly divided into two sections, anterior and posterior. He created lesions uh, or electrically stimulated the hypothalamus, and he observed what kind of chemicals was released in pituitary. Okay, before stimulation and after stimulation, and then he found out the composition of those chemicals, and then he observed, okay, what happens when those chemicals are injected in the body, what kind of effects are noted on other organs. Okay, so his reasoning was as follows. Creating lesion or electrically stimulating hypothalamus, there's a difference in the level of chemicals, aka hormones, released by pituitary gland. Cool. Each stage consists of a different hormone from one part to the next. Okay. So each part of anterior or posterior uh, releases a specific type of hormone. Cool. Okay. Hormones from pituitary affect the hormone secretion of other glands. So biochemically, it's a network. One from hypothalamus, there is a stimulation to pituitary. From pituitary, it's a stimulation to the to the endocrine gland, and from endocrine gland, there is a stimulation to the target organ. Cool. And obviously, the excess of hormones released go through the bloodstream back to the brain because brain is surrounded by blood vessels, and neurons can actually detect those chemicals again, uh, and they know that what is the concentration of chemicals in the body and whether they should inhibit or excite to release more hormones. For example, if the neuron has already released testosterone and there is more testosterone on the blood, then the neurons will not release more testosterone. Does that make sense? Okay. Or they will not give signal that will lead to the generation of testosterone, to be more accurate. So there's a negative feedback loop. Uh, okay. So these are the two organs. So this is how it goes. Hypothalamus causes TRH. TRH then from anterior pituitary stimulates thyroid, and then thyroid generates thyroid hormones, and they strike the target organs. Cool. So these are the this is the table of the major endocrine glands, their hormones, and what effect those hormones have on the human body. Okay, cool. Now we can divide the hormone pathways into two parts. Similar to sympathetic and parasympathetic system, we know that hormones play an important role in it. So in fight and flight response, hypothalamus sends a neural signal through spinal cord. A sympathetic nervous system is generated, and it focuses specifically on adrenal gland. And those glands generate epinephrine, which activates the human body and causes flight and fight response. Okay. Uh, but after those hormones are generated, in the blood and the threat is gone, then the brain actually gives the signal to go back to the homeostasis state. Basically, it tries to go back to the resting state, and then it generates certain other form of chemicals, uh, and the body is back at rest. So, yeah, there are two pathways. Cool. So now what we are going to do, and now we are going to research, we are going to go back to the research methods, but now we are going to go through each stage of research method that is out there in neuroscience. Basically, how do you measure the neural activity? Okay, how do you image it? How do you put it on an image? Okay, in what forms experiments are done, and stuff like that. That's what we are going to discuss in the next unit. So far what we have covered is that, okay, So far, till now, we have discussed brain, its part, how nervous system is, what are the sections of the nervous system, types of nerves, okay, uh, what structure of nerves, that is neurons, how neurons conduct electricity, okay, how neurons conduct electricity in ionic form, okay, how do the neurons communicate between each other, and chemical basis of neurons and the hormones, and how do neurons and hormones integrate basically and to affect the body. And now we are going to discover or discuss the research methods by various scientists. So thanks for watching, and that will be our possibly one of the last units. I may add more units as per requests, or what you call it, as per if I find something interesting, I will add more new units after research methods. But you can assume that research method for the relative time being is the last unit of biopsychology. So thank you for watching and see you in the next video.